Right, hi folks. This is Mike, PC31, the Vinyl Policeman, and I'm joined today by Rob over in Northern Revolutions.
Hello, everybody.
Good to see you, Rob.
You too, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah, no, good to see you. And we've been trying to do this for a little while now, but I was poorly for a little while, but we've got our act together and we're together now. So what we wanted to do, folks, we wanted to just talk about the Revolver, the wonderful Revolver release, and the various items that came out from that. We wanted to leave it a little bit of time since the release because there were so many videos in the VC that we wanted just a bit of time for those to all play through. We wanted to reflect on the release ourselves and give the whole thing a good play so that we could put a meaningful video together. So I think we've arrived at that point, hopefully.
I think
But
so. I think so.
yeah. Okay, so what we were going to do first was pretty quickly just go through the versions of Revolver that we've got leading up to this release, and then we're going to talk about this particular release. So if I kick off, as I say, we won't spend too much time on this, but my versions of Revolver, I've got a first press US on Capitol, which which is still in shrink, which is a good one. I mean, it's opened at the side. I play it, but that's still in shrink. I've got a dreaded Mo-Fi. I've got a Mo-Fi version which I've had for quite a while now, and that's good. It's good to have uh, a third press, UK third press, which was still from 1966. Um, a wonderful first UK first press, which is the 605-2 and the 606-1 with the remix 11 for Tomorrow Never Knows. So
One of my
that's that.
grails, as we talked about in our last video.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of my treasures, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. But we'll get on to that. I've also got from the 2014 mono box set. So I've got the mono Revolver there, which was the pure analog one, which is also an excellent version. And I've got up there still in the box actually. I've got the stereo box from 2012, and I've got a stereo one as well. So I've got a fair smattering, and with the new drop from Giles Martin, I've been trying to compare a lot of those to it. So how about you then, Rob?
Well, not quite as many as you. I'll start with my. So I've got a. This is a UK. I guess we'll call it a second pressing. This is the
Okay.
606-2.
Okay.
Not
So
not the
dash two,
not
dash two.
Yeah, not the one that came after yours. The one that has the proper mix of Tomorrow Never Knows.
Yeah.
It's mono. It's it's in reasonable condition. The jacket, someone's colored on the back, but
Ah,
you know, as I've mentioned before, the UK original pressings are very hard to find over here. So I kind of got to rely on eBay or Discogs or whatever. But in terms of this plays really nice. So I'm happy to have this in my mono UK collection. But
I'm sure everybody watching would know, but basically with the 606-1 side two, the remix 11 for Tomorrow Never Knows, uh, John Lennon when he heard an acetate of the version, he didn't like it. It was already in press in Hayes in Middlesex, and hundreds of thousands had actually come out. I actually knew the number, but I've forgotten at the moment. But was it 80,000? An awful lot, tens of thousands, were pressed and are out there. Um, and then he said to Giles Martin, I don't like Tomorrow Never Knows,
stop the
pull it,
presses. Stop the presses.
stop the presses. And because it's John Lennon, it's the Beatles, they did stop the presses.
Yep.
So then obviously the Dash 2, the next version, we get a new version of Tomorrow Never Knows. So, but I'm sure everybody knows that.
So the other ones that I've got, obviously I'm across the pond from Mike. I'm in Canada, so I have my original mono Canadian first pressing on Capital.
Beautiful.
This was actually my dad's copy from when it came out. And aside from a little bit of wear on the cover, it's absolutely pristine. And the record itself,
What's the
brand new.
label like, Rob?
It's the Rainbow Capital, the same as what's on your US one.
US.
The only thing that'll be different when you read the fine copyright print, it says Capitol Records of Canada.
Okay.
And then I have a first pressing Canadian stereo, exactly the same, except that it's the stereo pressing. And this is the 2014 mono remaster. I do not have the mono box set, which pains me immensely. But I do have all the albums, only because when that came out in 2014, I didn't have the $400 or whatever it was here. So I actually bought all the albums individually from record stores over the space of a month or so. So I have all the albums. I just don't have the box and I don't have the book.
Right.
I guess that's the important part, that I have the albums. I still wish I had the book and the box.
Yeah.
But
It'll appear for you one day.
one day. But those are always my versions of choice to play. I never bought the stereo box. I have the stereo remaster on CD. But in terms of vinyl, the mono remaster is my playing copy. Then I've got my original first pressing Canadians. And then the original UK. And that's it.
Okay. Well, I think between us, we've got enough copies where we can make a good comparison.
I think so. I think so. We covered a lot of bases there.
With the new remix. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So what did you pick up with the actual drop then, Rob?
So, obviously the Super Deluxe vinyl box set. I don't buy CDs as a general rule anymore. I haven't bought CDs in probably 10 years. I don't really enjoy the format. Nothing against CDs, if people want to listen to them, more power to you. I'm just a vinyl guy, so it was the vinyl box set. I didn't pick up the picture disc. I probably would have if I had seen it in one of my record stores, but I just didn't see it in person, and I didn't feel like ordering online and paying the shipping for something that's really kind of a novelty. So someday if I stumble across it and it's reasonable, I'll grab it. But just bought the...
It's a beautiful thing. That's the picture disc.
Yeah. I did when they did the Sgt. Pepper box, I got the picture disc, but I haven't seen any of the other picture discs. I didn't see Let It Be, and I didn't see Abbey Road, and I haven't seen this one. So
no, it's like anything like these. I mean, I've never played it. It's purely a thing because I'm a collector.
Yep.
I've collected it, not played it. I think it is something of beauty. I mean, I absolutely love it, but it's just in the collection. I mean, these things obviously don't sound as good, much better than picture disc used to.
Right.
But the very nature of the beast, the process,
right,
they're never going to be as good. So, but it's something nice.
Yeah, I hope to stumble across one someday. What did you pick up besides that? Which boxes did you get?
Okay, so I picked up the vinyl as you did, and another absolutely beautiful box set, absolutely stunning. I did also pick up the CD. Nice. And there's the CD set.
Is the box the same? Is the box the same size?
No. It's
thinner.
These are pretty heavy, actually, aren't they? But,
they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Quite a difference. So that's the vinyl. Put that down. But it's really well presented, as you expect with all these things from the Beatles are. But what we've got is same book, and the way they've done the CDs is pretty clever.
It's like what they did with the Sgt. Pepper box, which was the first one. They did it kind of the same way. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
so it's the same form factor as vinyl. Sitting on your shelf, it's as tall as vinyl and looks like vinyl.
Exactly. When it goes in the book, I mean, this is always one of my bugbears, and I remember a conversation once with Jamie Cottle, where we both had a bit of a rant about when some of these boxes come out when they're different sizes, and I use the Calax system, as obviously
So
a
do
lot
I.
of us do.
So do I.
Right. And with the Calax, I mean, these 12-inch things sit absolutely perfect.
Yep.
But just a few irritating things, like I've got all the Rolling Stones box sets, and some girls they chose to put out is much taller, so that's in a different place from my Rolling Stones collection. The Led Zeppelin sets are too tall for Calax, so they don't fit. I've got those over there. And Main Offender, my favourite Keith Richards album,
Right.
again, all the other ones fit perfectly in the Calax, but that one they made it too big.
Well,
It's just
that's
so
my
irritating.
that's my rant about the Beatles boxes. Is I mean, I think they stumbled across the right form factor when they did Let It Be, and this is the same size. But the couple they did before that were kind of all over the place. And when you and I do a video talking about all the box sets, I'll rant about that at some point.
But with the just going back to this one, so you've quite simply got the Revolver, the new stereo mix. You've got the original mono master remastered, the EP, and then sessions 1 and sessions 2. So
Right.
they've done it well. So
Good.
you've got that plus the same beautiful book.
The
So
books are amazing.
stunning, absolutely stunning. So what do you think of the actual content? So how would you rate that, Rob? The musical content.
So I'm thankful to have the box set. And I'm a sucker that will buy whatever the Beatles put out. My my overall opinion I formed before the box set came out, and I still maintain it having lived with it now for a month and a half or whatever. I think we're getting to the point content wise where it's sort of diminishing returns when it comes to a vinyl box or any size Super Deluxe. There's less and less stuff that you can put in there, in my mind, to justify the cost. I don't regret buying it, but there's not. If you look at what's in some of the earlier box sets, be it Pepper or the White Album, there's not as much extra content in this box set to, in my mind, to justify what it costs. But I still paid for it because I'm a completist and I like to have everything.
Sure.
And I really wanted the new Giles Martin mix. And I did want the Sessions stuff, but it just, and I guess we can get into it all, in finer detail. I didn't think there was a lot of extra stuff to warrant. Like, the book was fantastic. I don't really care about the 45 that was in there. While those songs are important, does that little EP? Yeah, I don't know. So for me, it really boiled down to I wanted the 2014 mix, and I wanted the Sessions, and I really liked the book. So, I'm glad I have it, but the extra content's getting a little thin, I think. And if we do a Revolver, my fear there's going to be even less in there. What's your thoughts?
Rubber Soul.
Yeah,
Rubber Soul.
Rubber Soul. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think the Sessions double album is pretty spectacular. I mean,
Yeah.
I do love that, and I've played that quite a lot, and I get a lot from it. I love things like the Isha Sessions, the White Album,
Love it.
where you get, I love it, and I play that so much, and where you got all this when the songs break down and Lennon giggles and various things. So when you've got all those kind of things on the sessions, I mean, I just love all that. And I mean, the early versions of Tomorrow Never Knows and Got to Get You Into My Life, I think that's something really quite special. So I love all that. The remix, the 2022 remix, stereo remix. I'm not convinced it's a huge improvement. And in fact, when I play it alongside the remastered mono, the 2022, not remix, but just remastered mono,
Right.
I think that stands as at least as good. For me, the stereo remix is possibly, and I'm talking margins here kind of thing,
Right.
but when I listen to it, it feels almost a little bit too clean. And
I
I
can
know
see
it's
that.
taste, and also obviously a lot depends on our setups, our systems.
Right.
And my system is not high end. It's
Nor is
very,
mine by any means.
no, it's very middling. So um, who knows what it would sound like on a really good system. But I find it a little bit clean. And there's one thing I heard on somebody in the VC said with Taxman, where you've got the hum of the amplifier
Yep.
just in the beginning
Yep.
intro, and on the stereo remix, that's taken out.
It is.
And yeah, and when I listen to the remastered mono from the box set, and it's still there, I just quite like the dirtiness and kind of. So I find it a little bit overly clean in places,
I can
and
see
I
that.
must admit, yeah, and I must admit my go-to now is between two probably, and it's probably the 2022 mono remaster, and I still do love the 606-1. And in comparison, I played that again earlier today, and it is just really lively, and it jumps out the speakers, and I think, wow, that still really stands up against kind of the remasters, etc. But I would probably, but the 2022 mono remaster would probably be my go-to now.
Really.
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah. What about you, Rob?
Um, I like the Giles Martin mix. I've liked all the Giles Martin mixes.
Hmm.
And I've said many times on my channel, I am not an audiophile. And if I did
No.
a blind taste test, if someone played me three different mixes and tell me which one's which, I couldn't do it. I'd fail 100% of the time. I do not have the ears for it. Nor do I have a high-end stereo. But when I sat down and I played various versions, knowing what they were, I enjoyed the Giles Martin mix a lot, as I said, like I have with all the other ones. And the reason why is people complain about the Giles Martin mixes being a little bass heavy, which they are. And I'm okay with that because I have a hard time hearing bass. I have tinnitus, so I hear ringing in my ears. I don't hear it right now because there's enough background noise, but I have a hard time hearing bass on a lot of things. So rarely do I hear a bass guitar, and that when I listen to the Giles Martin mixes, I can hear it, and it
Right.
sounds fuller to me, and it sounds like that piece that's been missing is there. I can hear it on a normal recording, but I got to turn it up, and I got to really concentrate to pick it out, and I don't with the Giles Martin mix. So because my ears are a mess, I like the Giles Martin mix because it sounds, for my ears, sort of a richer, fuller, whatever. But I absolutely get what you're saying about it being cleaner. I still really like the 2014 mono.
Yeah.
Only
I do.
because, and I think that's maybe because I buy into the marketing, and they said this is how the Beatles intended it to be, and this is as close as you'll ever get to being in the studio with the Beatles, and they did such a good job with it. I think that's probably still going to be. I think that might still be the one that I spin the most on vinyl.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to, even though I enjoy the Giles Martin mix better because it's a better listening experience for me, it still always comes back to the Beatles were involved in the mono mix. They weren't involved in the stereo mixes, and they weren't involved in Giles Martin's mix. So I got to go with what the band originally intended.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I love what Giles Martin has done and what he does. I mean, all the previous ones,
Yeah.
and roll on rubber soul kind of thing. I love it. I really do. But if there's a go to, yeah, I think it's probably that remaster. The reality is probably the 606-1 because it is fast pressed, etc. I'll probably put that back in the collection, and that comes out very, very occasionally. It come out now to make the comparison. But you're dead right, actually. The 2014 mono remaster there is fantastic, and I'd probably put that one and the 2022 remaster together. But at the moment, and again, same as you. I mean, I've played in bands forever, so I've had ridiculously noise drummers behind me forever.
Sure.
So the ears are not what they used to be, and my system's not high end. So what do I know? But at this moment in time, that mono in the box, I think, is the one I would pull at present.
There's one thing about the mono version that's in the box, and for those that don't know, it's a direct analog transfer, just like the 2014 mono pressing was, because
Yeah,
those sold out and you can't get them and they're impossible to find. They decided to offer another analog transfer of the mono album, which is great. I'm glad there's one subtle difference. They didn't on the original 2014. If I pull this out of my pile here, when they made it, the cover is a replica of the original
oh,
UK with the
good
flip
point.
backs and everything.
Yeah,
In the box, it's not. It's just a standard cover. They didn't try to replicate everything about the way the
yeah,
album was
good
originally
point.
intended. And why I like that is now you can differentiate between the 2014 Monomaster and the 2022 Mono Transfer.
Okay, so what you're saying then, Rob, the perfect Beatles Revolver mono album is the 2014 sleeve with the 2022 remaster.
Well, I get. I mean, I struggled to pick out any differences between both of those mono remasters.
Yeah, yeah,
And in fact, and I don't know that anyone has said, I don't know why they needed to do a new mono transfer. Why couldn't they have just taken the original stampers from the 2014 and just repressed it? I don't know why you
yeah.
needed to do and had to cut a new master. I don't know.
No, no. And, I guess most of my comparisons have been between different versions, kind of US, the 606-1, and various things. Um, did I do a genuine comparison between 2014 mono and 2022 mono? I thought I did, but I may not. I may not have done when I think about it. So I wonder how close they actually are now. If not,
I've read they're really close. I mean, it's from the same
yeah.
tape, it's the same mix, and it was cut by the same guy.
So it's just the remastering then, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just the remastering of the 2022, if
right,
the improvement over the 2014.
right.
But
I like that
but
they made it available for folks. I don't need it; it's not required because I already have a what I consider to be a superior mono remaster. But for those
yeah,
that didn't have those, it's good that it's available for them.
yeah. And what about this sessions record then, Rob?
I I like it and I don't like it. Um, I don't think there's much on it. I mean, if I look at it, um, you for example, you get 4 versions of Yellow Submarine. You get 4 versions of I'm Only Sleeping. You get 3 versions of Got to Get You Into My Life. Now they're all different, and I get that. And it's interesting to hear where a song starts at and where it finishes. Is this something I'm going to listen to regularly? No. Um, and you brought up the Esher demos from the White Album. I listen to that regularly
I do as
because
well. I
that
love
is,
it.
I mean, it's kind of like the White Album unplugged,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's an album in its entirety. Whereas this is, the same song repeated 3 and 4 times, and then the
you're
next
right.
song repeated 2 and 3 times.
Yeah,
It's interesting to hear. It's interesting from a historical perspective. I'm glad I have it. I might listen to it once a year. That said, there are a couple really big standouts. Obviously, you and I have mentioned the withdrawn mix of Tomorrow Never Knows, Mix 11.
yeah,
It's on here. So for the
yeah.
first time, for those that don't have that really hard to find first day
They've got
pressing,
it. Mm,
we've got it now. So that's great. First time I'd heard it, loved it.
yeah,
And the original demo version of Yellow Submarine that
mm,
John sings is awesome.
yeah.
Not awesome in that it's great, it's just awesome in that it's so vastly different from what that song turned into.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a couple highlights on there, but by and large, eh,
No, as you say, it's for historical
right.
purposes. It's absolutely fascinating. and where we've had the Get Back DVD come out, and you really get into the nitty gritty, and you see all those things. This for me is kind of a similar kind of thing where you're just really in next to them, kind of giggling next to them, hearing all their thoughts and etc. So just a really interesting thing to have. Yeah, will it be played much? No, of course it won't. But even take one of Tomorrow Never Knows, which is just so different and so empty. Just really interesting to see where it started and where it went to. But great picture of Studio 3 as well, isn't it? In the center.
I mean, the packaging on this whole set, top notch. Absolutely
Beautiful.
top notch. This and the Let It Be box are absolutely impeccable. They got the packaging right. It's the same form factor. They're the same size. The quality of the box is great. I love that it's basically a box and everything slides into the side, and they've just done an absolutely perfect job in the packaging.
Rob, save that thought because we're going to do a video a little bit later,
Yes.
and we're going to do comparisons of the five box sets which have been released so far.
I have lots of thoughts on that topic.
I know you have, and I have as well, and they're all fantastic, but different methodology, different packaging. Some you definitely get a lot more content than you do in others. So we're going to do a video about that, and that's going to be great fun.
Yes.
So anyway, fantastic Revolver.
Yeah.
Superb.
The other thing to talk about quickly too is the book.
Yeah.
I mean, the book is
the
amazing.
Book. Yeah, it's stunning.
It's the book that is in all the other box sets, and this. I mean, you put them on a shelf together, they make a nice library.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It's just like everything else, where they. I mean, here's the book, and I mean the quality of the book is amazing, but there's lots of photography, there's lots of archival stuff, tape boxes and original lyrics, and it actually goes through, track by track and talk about the production of the song, and I mean it's just they did such So here's another example. You can see
Beautiful.
it gives you all of the production information and tells the story. These books in all of the box sets.
Yeah.
I mean, they're, in my mind, they're worth half the cost of the box set, to be quite honest.
Oh, yeah. But I think, I love box sets, and I've got, kind of Stones and Zeppelin and Sabbath and lots as we all have. But I think these Beatles box sets are such a fantastic thing to own. They really are beautiful things, been put together so well. Yeah, we can talk about improvements and various things, but generally they are beautiful things.
Yeah, I mean I don't have a lot of box sets. The Beatles, and I've got a few others, but I'm a Beatles completist, so I have to have them. Happy with the quality. And I wasn't trying to be negative at the start of the video, but if I just look at what was offered content-wise, the earlier box sets compared to this one, it wasn't cheap, and I'm worried that we're going to keep going, and I just think there's less and less incentive. I'll still stupidly buy them so that I can have the new remixes and a whole row of boxes that look nice, but as we get into I don't want to use the word simpler music, but I mean, the earlier the albums are, the simpler they are compared to, the stuff that's already been released.
But they've got to keep going, though, Rob.
Do they?
They've got to keep. Yeah, they've got to.
So you want a Super Deluxe Hard Day's Night?
I want
a
everything.
Super Deluxe.
I do.
Really?
I do. As you say,
I don't.
Probably won't be as much content, etc., but I would like Giles Martin to get his hands on them. And I mean, look what they did when Giles got Peter Jackson with the D-Mix technology, when they were able to separate the four track and pull out all the tracks for that. I mean, what a fantastic thing to have been able to done.
Listen, I'm
And,
all
and I
I'm
know,
all for
I
it.
know it's all cleaned up and everything, but what a fantastic piece of technology
Yes,
to be able to get in and do that separation and that cleaning and give us that kind of option in the
agreed.
sound.
And I'm all for that. But just from maybe maybe a Rubber Soul box, I don't know. But even Rubber Soul, which I love, one of my favorite albums of all time. But from there back, there's not enough for a box set. So if Giles Martin wants to do a mix and they put out the Giles Martin mix as a standalone record, I'm all for it. But do I want to spend $300 every time and there's going to be less and less and less and less in it? I don't know. I don't know. There's other box sets they could do which would be much more impressive. I would love to see them do a complete live at the BBC box set, because the 2 volumes that are out are only a fraction of the stuff that they actually recorded for the BBC.
That's true.
Put out like an 8 LP, because there's a bootleg on CD, the complete BBC sessions. Do something like that on vinyl where there's more meat on that bone. Like that I'd love to see. But the earlier albums as Super Deluxes, no. Giles Martin remixes, sure, I'm all for it. But $300 box set, they're gonna do it, and I'll buy it, and you and I will be talking 5 years from now that, yeah, I bought it because I'm an idiot, but
Of course you will. We all will.
I'm a sucker.
Anyway, okay. That was fantastic. Thanks,
That
Rob.
was.
Really appreciate that. Thanks for you sparing some time to do this. And it was great to prepare for this and revisit all these different versions and everything. So that was great. Till the next time.
Thanks for having me, and I look forward to doing our next one where we do a comparison of all the boxes.
That'd be fantastic.
Thanks for
Rob.
having me.
Okay. Bye, folks.
Bye.